What if I told you there is a place in Europe where tropical palm trees stand beside snowy mountains, where ancient villages hide above the clouds, and where one city transformed from a forgotten Soviet port into the Las Vegas of the Black Sea? It sounds unreal, almost like two completely different worlds forced into one small region. But this place is real. Welcome to Ajara. A mysterious coastal region in Georgia, where Europe meets Asia, mountains meet the sea, and history still echoes through every street and valley. At first glance, Ajara looks like paradise. The Black Sea sparkles along the coastline, subtropical forests cover the hills, and modern skyscrapers rise beside old European buildings. Tourists arrive for the beaches, casinos, and nightlife. But beneath this beautiful surface lies a deeper story, one shaped by empires, wars, religion, and survival. Located in the southwestern corner of Georgia, Ajara borders Turkey and stretches along the eastern coast of the Black Sea. Although relatively small, this region feels incredibly diverse. In just a few hours, you can travel from warm beaches lined with palm trees to cold mountain villages hidden in thick fog. And that contrast is exactly what makes Ajara so unusual. Its capital city, Batumi, is unlike any other city in the Caucasus. At night, neon lights reflect across the sea, while luxury hotels tower over the coastline. Futuristic skyscrapers dominate the skyline, giving Batumi an atmosphere that feels more like Dubai or Macau than a quiet Georgian city. Yet only a few streets away, another Batumi still survives. Old European-style buildings stand quietly beside narrow cobblestone roads. Small cafes play traditional Georgian music, while elderly locals gather in peaceful public squares. This strange mix of old and new creates a city with two identities, one racing toward the future and another still holding tightly to its past. But Batumi was not always glamorous. For centuries, this region stood at the crossroads of powerful empires. The Romans once controlled parts of the Black Sea coast. Later came the Byzantines, followed by the Ottoman Empire. For hundreds of years, Ajara existed under Ottoman influence, and traces of that era remain visible even today, in the architecture, food, and cultural traditions. Unlike much of Georgia, where Orthodox Christianity dominates strongly, Ajara developed a more mixed identity due to Ottoman rule. Some communities converted to Islam during that period, creating a unique cultural blend rarely seen elsewhere in the country. Then came the Soviet era. Under the Soviet Union, Batumi became an important port city. Industrial buildings replaced parts of the old architecture, and the region slowly lost much of its international identity behind the Iron Curtain. But after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, everything changed. Georgia entered a period of instability, economic hardship, and political uncertainty. Yet somehow, Ajara survived the chaos differently from many other regions. Over time, Batumi reinvented itself completely. Massive investments transformed the coastline. Casinos opened, tourism exploded, luxury apartments and modern hotels began appearing everywhere. Today, Batumi is one of the fastest-growing tourist destinations around the Black Sea. But the true soul of Ajara does not exist in the skyscrapers. It exists in the mountains. Away from the modern coastline, the highlands of Ajara feel frozen in time. Tiny wooden villages cling to steep green hills, while narrow roads twist through deep forests and mist-covered valleys. In many places, traditional lifestyles still survive almost unchanged. Life here is simple. Families raise livestock, bake homemade bread, and live close to nature. During winter, heavy snow isolates some mountain communities for weeks. Yet despite the harsh conditions, many residents choose to stay, preserving traditions passed down through generations. The scenery itself feels almost unreal. Dense forests cover the slopes of the lesser Caucasus mountains, while waterfalls crash through hidden valleys. In summer, the hills become bright green under thick clouds drifting across the peaks. In winter, snow transforms the region into a quiet, white wilderness. One of the most breathtaking places is Gododzi Pass, a high mountain pass connecting different parts of the region. The road cuts through dramatic landscapes where ancient forests meet open alpine fields. Travelers often describe the journey as one of the most beautiful drives in the Caucasus. And then there is the food. Ajarian cuisine is famous throughout Georgia, especially one dish that has become internationally recognized, Ajarian khachapuri. At first glance, it looks simple, a boat-shaped bread filled with melted cheese, butter, and raw egg. But for locals, it represents something much deeper, warm, rich, and comforting. It reflects the hospitality and identity of the region itself. In Ajara, meals are never rushed. Food is connected to family, conversation, and tradition. Long dinners often stretch late into the night as friends gather around large tables filled with bread, grilled meat, fresh vegetables, and homemade wine. And perhaps that is one of the most fascinating things about Ajara. Despite modernization, it has not completely lost its human warmth. People still greet strangers openly. Conversations still matter. Nature still shapes everyday life. In a world increasingly dominated by speed and technology, Ajara feels slower, calmer, more grounded. Yet the region also faces challenges. Rapid tourism development has changed the coastline dramatically. Some critics argue that Batumi is growing too quickly, sacrificing parts of its historical identity for modern construction and foreign investment. Others worry about environmental pressure as more hotels and resorts continue appearing along the coast. Still, Ajara remains one of the most unique regions in Europe. Few places combine so many contrasts in such a small area. Islamic and Christian influences, ancient villages and futuristic skyscrapers, quiet mountains and vibrant nightlife, European elegance and Asian spirit. And maybe that is why Ajara leaves such a strong impression on visitors. It does not feel fully European. It does not feel fully Asian. It exists somewhere in between. A place shaped by centuries of cultural collision, yet somehow maintaining its own identity through it all. In many ways, Ajara represents the hidden side of Georgia itself, a country often overlooked by the world, yet filled with extraordinary landscapes, deep history, and resilient people. And while larger nations compete endlessly for global attention, Ajara remains quieter, more mysterious, almost hidden beside the Black Sea. But perhaps that silence is exactly what makes it unforgettable. Because sometimes the most extraordinary places in the world are not the loudest ones. Sometimes they are the places few people ever think to look.